Okay, so we are up to...
I'm sorry, can I say also a name for Tuvia ben Masha for
Refuah Shlema for Tuvia ben Masha.
Okay, so you can add Sarah there. Sarah Brina Bas Gittel.
Sarah Brina Bas Gittel. Refuah Shlema. Okay. So we, in these form, I have us on page Mem Aleph, last paragraph in the bottom on page Mem Aleph, and we are dealing with the various strategies that the Yetzer employs to try to get a person. Again, this is all about Ichra Maisis. So our job is to elevate our actions to as holy and as focused as it possibly could be. And the Yetzer's job is to distract us and to derail us in every possible way. And therefore, the idea was, now we're talking about the Yetzer talking to us and convincing us, listen, good name is very important, right? So your job is to make sure that what you do in this world brings you a good name. So you have to therefore go out of your way to help people and to make people happy and to accommodate people and to be totally focused on what people think of you and making sure that in every which way that you move in all the circles that you are involved in, that you make sure people walk away saying, this is a good guy. So whatever you need to do to make it happen is important. And clearly, if you do that, the Yetzer is going to ultimately win out, says the Chovos HaLeVovos. And we began the arguments about the fact that what good is all this, love that people are going to bestow upon me, the cover that I'm going to get. It's really ultimately not important. Talmud Chacham, we ended with the paragraph, a Talmud Chacham walks into a store and the person says, that's a big tzaddik there, you want to give him a good deal, and the minute he hears that he's going to get a good deal, he says, I don't want my Torah to be a basis for me to get good deals, and he walks out. Because if we really have a clear Havana of a clear understanding of our position here in this world, we're not really looking for our position to bring us anything. That's not what we really want. But what about the fact that we didn't talk about the Yetzer in his convincing of us, as we learned last week? And just one more point of review, which is really such a critical point. The Chovos HaLeVovos taught us last time that we learned together is that the issue is not to make people happy. There's only one issue that we have to focus in on in this world, and that's to make HaKadosh Baruch Hu happy. And if you make HaKadosh Baruch Hu happy, you do everything the Torah tells you to do, then people will be happy with you. And that's going to be a special gift HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to give you, and being, loved by people and respected by people. But that's not your focus. Your focus is not to have people respect you. The focus is to have HaKadosh Baruch Hu be happy with your actions. But what about the pasuk we quoted last week that says, "V'yasisal Hashem"? I'm going to give you a name. Doesn't it seem from there that having a name is an important thing? And from the pasuk, now we're beginning the last paragraph there. From the pasuk that says, "I will make for you a name," which you Yetzer mentioned as a proof to the concept I should start worrying about what people think of me. Don't let that fool you into thinking that the message is your job is to seek a good name. What can I do to get a good name? No, that's not your job. With the intention of what that means, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will make for you a name. Sheshem hatov hu matana l'kim, hu matnas l'kim. The good name is not something that you really work towards. The good name that you get is a gift from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's no different than wealth or honor or other things that maybe people would love to have in this world. That ultimately, if you get it, is purely in the HaKadosh Baruch Hu's hands. Shabbari meitiv bem lavoda. HaKadosh Baruch Hu bestows these gifts and these kindnesses to His servants. When God's wisdom tells him that this is the way He wants to go, then that's what He does. And that which you never asked me, I'm going to give for you, says the pasuk in Malachim. Also wealth, also honor. And also as a pasuk says in Mishlei, Arach Yomim Misbina, his length of days in his right hand, Bismaila Oshvakava, in his left hand, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has wealth and honor. This is what he bestows to people that he sees fit to bestow it to. We don't always understand his ways, and not all the time does it make sense to us why certain people get the wealth and why certain people seem to get the honor. And that's, again, if we're small-minded and petty, then those things will bother us because we can't understand how I'm so much better than that person. Why is that person getting all these things that I should be getting and not that person? That's another aspect of our responsibility to overcome those, small-minded ways of looking at the world. So a tzaddik gets it at the end, but there's nothing about the tzaddik's intent to reach any of these issues and any of these rewards through their good deeds. It's not what they're thinking about. They want to do the right thing. They want to do the Ratzon Hashem. They want to bring Nachas Ruach to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Their only focus is for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And they have full faith that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will bestow kindness to those people in these areas to who he deems fit. And there's no level of expectation because I'm doing this if I deserve it. I'm doing it. I don't deserve anything. What HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees fit to do, he's going to do. And you're matzik the din with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You completely give him the total credit and total, right, of course, without even, it goes without saying that whatever he sees fit to do to me or to anybody else is totally within his prerogative and purview. Those who serve him might get reward. Those who don't serve him might get it, as we alluded to. It could go either way. It could go to people who believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we see people sometimes who are kaifrim, they don't have any belief, and they seem to be, not good people and not believing people, and yet they seem to be rolling on easy street, and we have no idea what the calculations are. We do know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does sometimes give a reward to those in this world, so that they use up all their reward in this world. They don't have any reward in the next world. That's not for me to start calculating, figuring out. Whatever the Chachma of Kodesh Baruch Hu dictates. Wealth and honor is for you. So the tzaddik, the person who has the ability to answer back to Yetzer, is going to say, no, you have wrong shot, my dear friend. I know you're trying to convince me to try to twist myself into a pretzel to make sure everybody likes me, so I can do this and I can get that. No, but should not be your focus, and your focus should only be to make HaKadosh Baruch Hu happy and recognize that it's only going to distract me. Okay, and now we've already mentioned a couple of reasons, both last week now and this week. V'tam nosif ein tzaddik and ein chatzodek, and there's another reason why you're not right, Mr. Yetzer, who keeps talking to me, trying to convince me to do all these ridiculous things. Let's even say my name is out there. I'm famous. Cover of 7 Mishpacha magazines in 6 years. I'm rolling on cloud nine. I couldn't be more in the focus of the world. Okay, so it's happening, right? It's easy to get into it if this is what's happening and everyone's recognizing me and I'm getting a lot of publicity. What kind of value does all that have in this world? And what value does it really have for this short time that I'm here? I mean, it's all fleeting, right? It's sort of like that 15 minutes of fame that we always hear about. Then what? Should I devote all my energy simply for people to recognize me and to know me and to talk about me and that's what I should be caring about?
Also, I don't understand why will somebody want to do that if with fame comes a lot of the bad side. Like a lot of people know you and everything, but there's always somebody who's not going to like you, and he's gonna, because you're so famous, they're gonna try to tear you down. So but fame comes with a price. Okay,
also, well, that's true. I mean, that's another good argument to make. But let's not kid ourselves. There are many people motivated by honor and by a good name, and by fame, and by all these types of things that people will do a lot to try to get to, and try to gain. And it's. I mean, what you're saying is right, but I don't think it's simple. I don't think we're not immune in our society to see people get very insulted because you didn't sit them in the right seats, you didn't put them at the right dais, you didn't give them the right covet, at the chasana. I'm not showing up if I don't get baruch hachrita or sidi kedushin. I'm just not. I'm not going to be there. And these are things that happen all the time. Unfortunately, these are not.
We're supposed to be humble. We're supposed to.
Okay. You're right. You're right. That doesn't mean we are, and it doesn't mean that that we use arguments.
So I don't know.
What?
I don't know anybody like that. Maybe
Okay.
it's not in the.
Yeah, I hear. Well, listen, good. That's good. You surround yourself with good people. But like I told you, my friend was arranging the dedication of a certain building, and it involved many Rosh Yeshivas and Rabbanim throughout all of the New York area to come. And he told me that you would not believe the amount of time he had to spend on who's sitting where and how many seats away from the center of that he spent worrying about people's feelings and and it's a big deal, and. I do know for a fact that there are people who say, if I don't get covet X at a wedding, I'm not showing up. That's pretty common.
Okay.
That's pretty common.
That's disgusting.
Yes.
That's disgusting.
I guess we just don't know people like that.
Yeah, that's very common. It's very common. No, I mean, and they a little bit. Listen, they do defend it by saying, "Listen, I have to show respect for my position. This is who I am, and if I'm going to be in a place and not be properly respected, my constituents are there, my balabatim are there, and they're going to see that, and they're going to, it doesn't befit my position. I mean, there are ways of, explaining it somewhat, but it does turn people's stomachs, and it's whatever. I don't think it's the right way to go, and certainly he's telling us that should not be our focus in terms of getting a name and having people sort of be enamored with us. Now he says let's go back here. So he says how long is this going to last? What am I putting all this effort in for? And it certainly doesn't pay for me to put my efforts and my energy. Instead of focusing on what's going to make God happy, then I'm focusing now on what's going to make people happy. When the reality is, let's say indeed my name goes out and it spreads all over America, all over the world. Well, I mean, see, we can't relate to this because once fame spreads, it could spread all over the world. But in those days, right, without the internet and all this, instant publicity, right? So let's say this guy becomes the most famous fellow in France. Okay, but in Morocco they don't know about me. In England they don't know about me. So it isn't like the whole world's going to know. In Eretz Yisrael they know, and if they know about me in Eretz Yisrael, they're not going to know about me in Europe. So
then how did Chaim become so famous? Because of his sefer.
Well,
but that's really amazing.
Okay, well, I mean, the Chovos Chaim lived a lot later than the Chovos HaLeVovos. I mean, you already had electricity in the Chovos Chaim's days, and I think, it wasn't quite. It's certainly not like it is now, but word traveled a little bit better in the early 1900s than it did back in the 1400s when you wrote the sefer, maybe 1300s. Maybe even 1200s. He says, right? So, right? It's not going to reach, but just a small part of the world. It's only going to last for a brief period of time. And then when the fame goes, it's like he was never here, right? I mean, who remembers? I'm sure if we start, breaking the heads about certain people who hit the headlines. They're talked about for a week or 2 weeks, and then, that's it. The fame is over. Ukvar Omra Pasuk, Ach Hevel B'nei Adam, Kazav B'nei Ish. Right? People are basically nothing, just sort of air passing quickly. People are Kazav. They're it's a lie. It's it's deceiving. It's not even true. Whatever we think we have is sort of just, it's basically a lie. His soul departs, he returns to his ground. We say that every day in Tillim, in Psukkah Zimra. There's no remembrance of the earlier generations, right? So remember, Baruch Hashem, people who have svarim, people who have made an impact on Klal Yisrael, they get remembered. That's what the Gemara says. that literally, when we learn the Torah of the Chovos HaLeVovos, his lips, in a sense, move in the kever. It's a way of him sort of, continuing to live. But, the fame that we get very often from, whatever it is that we're doing is very short-lived. And where does it get me? So, on all levels doesn't seem to make sense. Nimsa Efo, so it comes out, Ki mamotze lirchosh latzmi shem. If I'm going to go out of my way to keep trying to get a name for myself, the kavanasi lachter love, and my whole kavan is to sort of, keep going after that. You shiflis boletes for toes gasamitzidi. It would be an extreme, almost overt level of lowness and a complete foolish mistake. A very gross mistake. Beautiful little anecdote about a chassid who once asked his friend, a holy pious person once asked his friend, have you yet reached a level where everything is equal in your eyes? So what does that mean, when everything is equal in my eyes? So his friend asked him, what do you mean? What exactly do you mean everything's even in my eyes? So there are things that are better than other things. So the chassid answered him, this is my question to you. Is it equal in your eyes? Are you on the level where it will make no difference to you? You walk into a shul, you walk into a banquet, whether they praise you or whether they shame you. Are you on the level where either way it literally goes right over you on the same level? And there's absolutely no difference. And he says, Analo chaver loy. I'm not in the madreg yet.
Yeah, I don't want to be shamed. I don't need to be.
Okay, but I mean, but
I've never gotten praise.
You can ignore me. It's okay.
okay. No, okay. Listen, we're not. We have to work on ourselves to get on this level. But think about it. Why do we care?
Yeah.
What difference does it make? At the end of the day, in total clarity of the world, what difference does it make?
I think I understand now, because there's times when a neighbor or a friend who's wrong-headed will shame you, but in your heart you're doing your best to conform to the will of the Almighty. That shaming you just realize is just their problem.
Exactly. Exactly.
I have one person actually that came to me and he started yelling up and down to me. It felt horrible, but then I went to a friend and said, look at what happened to me. I can't believe. And he said, you know what? At that moment, say bracha.
Right.
Say bracha right now, because you swallow, you didn't say things. And the truth is, I just started praying to Hashem, and I'm like, Hashem, I don't know what I did. Please help me. I don't know. I didn't want to cause this pain. I don't know. But you never know where people are coming sometimes. So you have to really be strong in yourself. Like, you know who you are, and you want to be like in front of Hashem, and knowing that you're not being Hashem in front of Hashem that was judging you.
Right, exactly. And therefore, and it's a beautiful goal to sort of, set for ourselves. Because the chassid says to his friend, you haven't yet reached real chassidus. If it makes a difference to you, okay, and again, we're not talking about when you made a mistake. We're talking about you're consistent, you're level-headed, you've done the right thing, and the results of whether or not from your actions, whether shame comes or whether praise comes, at the end of the day should matter to you. His amates, he says, you haven't yet reached that level, so his amates get strong and gird yourself, because ulai tagili de madrega, maybe then you will, if you work on yourself, you'll reach that madrega. Ki zoihi hamadrega al yoina shemadregas chasidim, because this is the highest level of chasidim. This is what you call a really high level. Somebody's not going to go crazy if you don't give him the right, the right level of kavod. Somebody, even if you shame him, is going to let it roll off, just like he would let the praise roll off. The shi hamalos hatoros. This is the ultimate of pure madregas. So, yes, in other words, again, this is not something that we can just, oh yeah, sure, that's me. We have to work a long time. If we're there, that's a great thing. I guess, that shows us that we've accomplished a lot. But even if we're not there yet, at least we have something to work on and to aspire to. Yeah.
So my question is something that we spoke about before, that if something necessarily, can't say bad because it's supposed to happen, but isn't it like hashgacha pratis, because Hashem makes these things happen to us. So when something like that happens, I mean, after knowing you for many years, you just stop, you think about it. Okay, it's not about me, maybe I didn't do something, but maybe I have to look and take techocha from here and change something or do something.
Yes,
As opposed to just
but
let it go off from that?
But again, in other words, but you put it. I mean, it really depends on the person's level. If it's a true onesh, if it's truly something that a person is impacted by, seriously, well then yes, you have mefashesh shemais. If you look into your action, you say, hey, why this happened to me? This is really rough. I'm having a rough time with this, and what can I do to improve my life? What can I do to do tshuva to rectify the wrong? But we're talking about a person who this is not his nisayon, because this person is not impacted. This went right past him because I don't have any self. I'm not here for myself in this world. Again, we're not talking about every Joe Schmo here. We're talking about a very high level. But the point is, that's not the person's. In other words, if we're embarrassed and we don't answer back and we take it and we can maybe go back to Hakadosh Baruch Hu that night and say, Hakadosh Baruch Hu, aren't you proud of me? I passed the test. I really did good. Okay, but we don't go to Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Hakadosh Baruch Hu, I passed by on my way home 5 different McDonald's, and I didn't stop at any one of them, right, to buy a cheeseburger, right? We're not saying that to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're not saying in any which way, hey, I passed that test, because that's not even a test for us.
Not necessarily that I passed that test, but it's like I didn't react, I didn't respond, I didn't cause someone else something because of the ill that was said to me.
Okay, so all that's right, all that's great, but you're saying that shouldn't we look at that as sort of being like a wake-up call and some kind of punishment?
No, not necessarily a wake-up call, but it's like, isn't it something that, obviously I'm not on that level of Hasidus, that's for sure.
Okay.
But I'm still a work in progress.
We all are, yeah.
But I guess if someone, I've actually had it where there have been people that have just been really mean to me, and I can't figure out why, and someone will just say, just ignore what they said because that's just the way they are. So I've learned that if someone comes around to me and says something to me like that and says it, I have learned to be able to blow it off.
So that's great.
So that's already a madrega too, because I used to think like, okay, what did I do? What did I do wrong to them?
Also, just the anger. I mean, there are
I'd
people
probably
who
just apologize to them for whatever they said that I did. So
and maybe 5 years before that, it actually would have made you angry, and you would have been stewing all night. How dare that person, after all that I've done, talk to me that way? And and I mean, so it. Hopefully that's where we're, like you said, we're works in progress, and hopefully we're going to keep getting better.
This isn't just if someone, from what the Sefer says, it's whether it's even when someone praises you, to not let it get to your head,
right?
Which is very hard. I think that's almost harder than if someone gets upset with you.
Okay, right. Okay.
If someone gets upset with you, you can say they had a bad day, or maybe I did something to bother them. But to just let praise pass by you, I think that's even harder.
Okay, I think everybody's different. I think that's a little bit, for me, I think that's a little bit easier, because whatever. I guess everybody's at their own little, no, it's not, I don't think it's higher. I don't think it's higher or lower, but it's just different. I think it's a different thing. But they say about Rabbi Salanter that he taught himself 3 things. He taught himself to daven very fast. So he wouldn't have to daven a long Shemona Esrei. Everyone, he's davening such a long Shemona Esrei. He didn't want to stand out. So he taught himself to daven Shemona Esrei quickly. He taught himself Torah Shabbat Peh. He taught himself he knew all of Torah by heart. So he wouldn't have to take Sforim with him everywhere he went. Because when you take a Sefer, and you're the only one in the day is for the Sefer, then you stand out. Yeah. So he taught himself to know everything in his brains. And he also taught himself to block out sound. In other words, he had the ability that if there was Lashon Hara being spoken at the table, it didn't enter. He taught himself to be able to block out. So part of what I'm sure was his motivation was also the praise, just not to hear anything, But again, but if we see the difference is like this: you're a very good person. So in your mind, the praise is actually somewhat worthy. It's hard not to let it get to you. But if you know that the praise is not worthy, so you let you know that whatever they're saying is not justified, so you let it go a little bit easier. Okay. Anyway, but you're right. Either way, it's a challenge, and our job is that in life, no matter what comes our way, we're even keeled, and we let it roll. Okay.
Well put.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but this is beautiful because it gives us, we can roll up our sleeves and we can get to work. Okay, so now we've got another. So this is Dugma Beis. We just ended the second argument of the Yetzer in these areas. Now we're going to get to Dugma 3, and basically it's if the Yetzer can't get you here, he'll then go to here. And if he can't get you there, then he's going to go to here. So now we're going to go to the third tier.
Sneaky.
Yes, he is very
the
sneaky.
levels going higher? Or
Well,
it's just different levels?
Well, it's more subtle arguments. So basically, you've won the first two, so now he's going to have to try to attack you a different way. So if he can't get to you from the fact that you should be worried about your own self-esteem and your own, well-being or your glory or your good name,
Hit you in the knees.
let's see what he can get to you now. Because so you're a pretty good person. So now, how is he going to convince you to sort of become derailed from your upward trajectory in spirituality? What's he going to do now? So now, if once the Yetzer gets, he's apathetic, right? I'm done. I can't get this guy, this or this lady. In this area, I cannot seduce them. I can't, bring them into my trap to get them to focus on honor and a good name through all of the good deeds, that this person has done. What's the next step? He will try to derail and damage your very good deeds by getting you busy and focused at the time that you're doing them, when you're about to really dive into something spiritual and holy, to think about matters of this world. And the people, and all your desires, that are consistently there, and to forget your end. Forget the long-term goals of spirituality and eternity, and it'll get you focused on the mundane, on the immediate. And I'm sure, again, something I've heard over the years, and I would imagine that to some degree or another we're all dealing with this, that, it's amazing. Just when we have some time ready to start davening, what flies into our head? Oh my gosh, I have to balance my checkbook. I got to call the plumber. I didn't pay the electric bill. And all these things are flying in when? Just when we're sitting down to pray to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, every other possible thought comes in to derail us. Okay? And that's why, I remember even in high school, one of my principals would joke about the fact that how does it happen that we're davening Shemona Esrei and we're just going through it because we get, and all of a sudden we wake up in the middle of Shemona Esrei and we're benching. How do we get to benching from Shemona? How did that happen? But it happens because, and so these things are not so rare, and the Yetzer is at work. The Yetzer is definitely at work.
I thought I was the only one.
That's right.
Okay, you see, Baruch Hashem, you're not the only one. Okay, and when you see that the Yetzer is now trying, the Yetzer is trying to get you to focus all of your thoughts. I'm sorry. When he sees that you've got the right attitude, that you want to centralize your thoughts to just pure spirituality. I want to focus on doing a mitzvah properly. I want to focus on davening properly. I want to focus on learning Torah properly. You sat down to daven like a mensch, or tefillas for shus, or maybe even you want to do an optional kind of thing, and you things that maybe you don't even have to do, but you want to do, or b'shoshin chosik b'Torah, or you're now ready to get focused in Torah, or lo midachas b'chachmas hamuna v'musar, maybe you want to sit down and learn some Chovos HaLeVovos, you want to get into some fundamental, principles of life and what our job here is in this world. Hu yivalvel es roshcha, he will start Bilbul. Bilbul is just, discombobulation. The bilbul is just a lot of things going on in my head. He will try to overwhelm your spiritually focused thoughts to very mundane, unimportant thoughts. But they're not so unimportant. After all, we do have to call the plumber, and we do have to do these things. Whether it be business, buying and selling stuff, profits and loss. Okay, and then he will tell you afterwards, right now I have some free moments. I was going to say some Tillim. I was going to sit down and learn for 45 minutes, but you know what? I've been, I haven't gone to that place for some sales in a long time. I got a nice clean afternoon where I can spend some time. Let me chop there. I'll get to my learning later. I'll get to my davening later. But come on, this I haven't been able to do this in a long time. It's not going to happen all the time because you're very busy. So now you have some free time. Torah is nice, but come on. If it's I know in New York the big thing. I don't know, it happened like twice a year. It was like the Sims, the Sims Winter Bash with like the big sale. You got to go to Sims. You got to get suits at half price. Or we're passing by the outlet stores. And my gosh, how often am I by the outlet stores? I got to chop right. Okay. Now is the time. It's a perfect time to sit and analyze: is the partnership working? How am I doing with my partner? Is Joey the right guy for my business? To figure out what you deserve, what he deserves. How many debts have you collected? How many debts you still have to collect? What kind of new maybe business ventures I should get into? And amazing, all these thoughts are coming into your head. Dafka when? When you're supposed to be learning. Okay? Which business ventures should I go into? Which business ventures should I not? Which things that I did in the past were successful, and now I'm happy that I did them. I start now reveling about my, wonderful stock acquisitions, and I bought a bunch of stock just right before it went up. And which ones maybe I messed up in, and now I'm going to regret them. So you start thinking about all those types of historical things that happened years ago. If you have a dintar with somebody, now's the time to go through all of the arguments back and forth in the dintar. You got a dintar coming up in a few days. So, you have other times in a day, but just when you sit down to learn, just like when you sit down to daven, now you're going to be focused on all of the back and forth argumentations that you want to figure out, before the actual trial. Okay, and what type of strategies you can use to outsmart him when the judge is judging the two of you, and to ultimately beat him. Or if you have silver, or money, or cattle, or sheep, or land to plant, or maybe you have some business contract with the government, and now you have to deal with the government, or Adam Prati, or maybe a private person, or if you have, let's say, to make a calculation, a financial calculation. After all, it's tax season soon. You got to fill my, to file my taxes, and what should I use, and what deductions should I take, and all these things are flying through your head. Dafka when you had some actual free time to focus on spirituality. Also, maybe you have certain debts you can't pay. Maybe you have some friends who need you. It's a little bit l'shem shemayim. So worrying about what am I going to do for this one, and what am I going to do for that one? How am I going to raise money for that? Yaver hayetzer machshavasecha es mashu rak yuchal b'kol dvar malalu. The Yetzer will get you to focus and to move your thoughts just in these, what you can do in these particular areas. Just when you were turning to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so let it not be an issue. And it's something that, again, you hear from a lot from the boys, and, especially the very sincere teenagers and young yeshiva barchim, they often complain that sometimes inappropriate thoughts are flying to their head. Daf could fly in when they're trying to daven and they're trying to get focused on Kodesh Baruch Hu, and all these thoughts of maybe, what happened, something that they saw earlier starts distracting them. This is an ongoing battle. And why does he do this? To completely derail you in these matters, to cheapen and to lessen the good acts that you're about to do. Okay, and this is what his goal is. His goal is to take away the L'Shem Shemayim. This whole chapter, more than a chapter, this whole gate is called Shar Yichra Maisa. It's about the idea that our job is to purify our actions, and the Yetzer's job is to completely derail that purification and to try to get us as rote and robotic as possible. And apparently, unfortunately, when you speak to a lot of people, he's becoming more and more successful today.
Yeah.
I think this one is personally, this one I think is much harder than the other two, because the other two you have to be on a certain level to be able to even think about praise or someone not having a good name or not having a good name. And this is something that's,
it's your own head.
It's every one of us.
Okay. So I'm saying, so this is right. So if he can,
something that's that's definitely on a level where it doesn't matter what level you're on, this happens. You go to, you get
right,
up
okay.
and you say, okay, I'll just daven, but before I daven, let me do this, or let me do that.
Right, and when you start davening, it flies into your head. Yeah, okay.
Or am I
Right.
doing work today? What's
Right.
going to happen? And
Well, again, right. This is he's building up, right? That makes sense because he'll try the first step, to try to get you into a more base area, but
right.
when those don't work, then he's going to have to fight a more subtle battle, and he takes things that you legitimately have to think about, but not now, and he's going to get those to get into your mind now.
Does Yetzer Haro ever give up on an individual?
No. He will. He might give up certain lines of attack, right? But he will not give up completely. Right, he'll just pick a different. That's what's going on here in the Sefer. He will try a more frontal attack and maybe a bigger, win for him if he can get that person to cave in on that level. But if that's not successful, then he'll give in on that. But then he'll start working on something else.
It reminds me like those tests that they're trying to find your level. That you start with a question. Everybody starts with a question, and if you get it right, then you get a harder question. Right. And then you get a harder question.
The Chovos Chaim was in his 80s, and he made a comment when one of the women, he was at some convention, and I guess the place had women. We're talking about the 1920s, probably. So how inappropriately dressed were women in the 1920s? And one of the girls served them, and he says, "What? They think we don't have the Yetzer? That we don't have an evil inclination," and that was the Chovos Chaim, later on in his years. So, it can attack you on purity of action. It will always try to some way derail you, but the particular fight will be a different fight. The war will be a different war. It'll be on a different, a different front, right? Exactly. It's a battlefront is a different one.
I have to tell you what, from this Sefer that has become so right in front of me, is how much the Yetzer Hara is there trying to derail you. I used to think that, why didn't Hashem make me right? That I'm not capable of doing these things, and but I'm like in the right direction, but every time, there are these stumbling blocks, and it's not Hashem doing it. It's the Yetzer Hara, and it's my responsibility to stop it.
Okay, but in a way, we should embrace that, because that means we're still in the game. We're still, in the fight, and we got to win. We have to, we have to mobilize ourselves to make sure we know there's an enemy out there, and we got to tackle it.
Right, this is so so much harder because, as the Rav said,
It's getting more desperate.
it's something that it's not like something bad. Even if you think about, what I have to do at work, or, oh, let me just take care of this before I daven or something. It's not like, you're thinking about, God forbid, some, lewd thoughts or something. But,
Right.
So it makes it that much harder because it's like, okay, so I'll take the 2 minutes and I'll do this and then I'll get back to the Tehillim. But you don't get, as it says in the living, you don't get back to the Tehillim because you find something else.
Correct.
He's trying
So-
harder.
Right. So,
It's much harder.
right. So let's sort of wrap it up with this little paragraph coming up, and this is where he basically says this is our goal. At least we can leave tonight with a complete point. The asiba madua sheyetzer motze gishay lecha. The reason, there's only one reason why the Yetzer can get in here. Whereas the Yetzer could be very successful in this area, but there's only one reason why he can do that. And get your thoughts to be derailed, in these directions. So he says because you're only ready typically to sanctify your body to do the action. You sanctify your physical self to, put on the tefillin or to give tzedakah or to do the kibbut aveim. You're focused on the physical action. And that's very often what we do in service HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we use, sometimes the Yetzer, gets us to believe that what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from us is the physical mitzvah, and we lose sight of the importance of the emotional purity. He says, but you're not ready to sanctify for HaKadosh Baruch Hu in doing this mitzvah, your heart and your thought. But if you really were focused fully in what you did, to have total intent and total purity of action, and sort of all of your thoughts were completely centralized on this, he wouldn't be able to get in. So he's telling us a very important secret here. We need to know that if the Yetzer is getting in, it's because we gave him some room. It's because we didn't take the time, as the Mishnah tells us, the great Hasidim or Rishonim would take an hour before davening to get focused and an hour after davening to land. So in order to really completely entrench ourselves, now who's got an hour before and an hour after? Okay, we do have to go to work, but the message really is that it takes planning. And it takes really total focus, whether it be getting rid of the phone nowadays. Again, you do see people who are, one word to Hashem, one word on the email, one word to Hashem, one word on a text. It's like we divide our time, and some people legitimately use their phones for davening. When they are actually looking in their phone because davening is on their phone, but you'd see a lot of people at times when they really have no business and they're looking at the phones and they're doing this. So we're letting it in. We're almost inviting the distraction in. We need to really spend the time to completely centralize our focus, and Bez Hashem, in that schos, he says the Yetzer will not be able to get in and distract us. We'll pick it up from here, Bez Hashem.